Welcome to lesson 3. Lesson 3, the sounds of music. You remember in lesson 2 we define music as a combination of pleasant sound. So what are these sounds? How do we perceive this sound? And over the years, musicians have been able to develop some method that we can use to recognize this sound. And we'll call it alphabet of music. Alphabet or circle of music, so that we can recognize these notes, so that we can recognize them. So we'll draw a circle in order to recognize these notes. So we said letter A from those points, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F, and letter G. These are all the alphabets that we use in music. We use this alphabet to name all the sounds in music, and there are 7 in numbers. 7 musical alphabets. How many in number? 7 musical alphabets. 7 musical alphabet. So let's go again. So we have letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F, and letter G. So when you start counting, you count from letter A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. From G, you have to go back to letter what? Letter A. So that's why we call it a circle. It keeps on revolving. It keeps on like a clock. Like after morning, you have afternoon, you have evening, you have midnight. So it keeps on what? Rotating round the clock. So that is why we call it the circle of music. And it's also called the alphabet of music, which are 7 in numbers. So let's look at it in this dimension again. We said there are 7 letters of music. We only use 7 letters of music. So this is letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F, letter G. After letter G, we have to start back to letter A again. So let's name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is what we call an octave. So what is an octave? An octave is an 8-note interval. An 8-note interval. So meaning every note has the capacity to produce itself after every 8 steps. So let's look at that. For instance, we want to start with letter B. Letter B. After B, we have letter what? Letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F, letter G, letter A, letter B. You can see from B to B is also what? An octave. So let's go again. Let's take another example like C. If we go from C, letter C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, another octave. So you might be thinking, oh, yes, this is the perfect arrangement of every music. That's why you have like something like do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. So, and these are several keys in music. Why we have this arrangement is because if you are in the key of A, if it's not convenient for the music making, maybe for the singer, we can go to a key of B, we can go to the key of C. So these are the various frequencies, but they are all the same. It depends on where you start. If you start from C, you must end at C. If you start, for instance, from F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. So from one point to the other, from one letter to the another is what we call an octave. I hope you understand that. So these are what we call the alphabets or circle of music. So let's look at one other major way that we can understand the sounds of music. So how do we understand the sounds of music? Is by using what we call cipher notation. Another method of understanding the sounds of music. The alphabet of music teaches us how to name it. But how do we interpret it? This is what we call psychoacoustic. And we now have how we interpret the sound. We have the cipher notation. This cipher notation is what we call do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Can you see? So this is how we perceive music. In contrast to the alphabet of music. The alphabet of music just helps us to name it. Like we know that it is letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D. But this is how we interpret it. For instance, I can say this is letter C, this is letter D, this is letter E, this is letter F, this is letter G, this is letter A, this is letter B, and this is letter C. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As you can see, from do to do is what? An octave. As we explained. So this is what we call the sounds of music. So in a nutshell, the sounds of music is what? Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. So let's move over to the piano and let me show you how this works. And have it this way. So you have your letter C here. I'm going to talk more about it. This is letter C. You have letter D, letter E, letter F, letter G, letter A, letter B, and letter C. And you have your do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Can you see it? So from here to here is an octave. You can also play it again. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. The same thing. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. So these are the sounds of music. The letter names just help us to give it a name. The letter name, this is letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F. While the cipher notation helps us to interpret the sound. About the alphabet of music. That's the first one, and we've talked about cipher notation. So those are one of the ways that we can read music. The third one is the standard music notation. Standard music notation. So this is what we want to discuss now, the standard music notation. So let's discuss the standard music notation. In the standard music notation, you have what we call the treble clef and the bass clef. Treble clef like this. We have 5 lines and 4 spaces. This is a treble clef. And we have here the bass clef. Now this is the standard music notation. And remember, the sounds of music is what? Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. So here on the staff, this is letter C, which is what? Do. And this is re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Now, on the bass clef, This is letter C, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. And these are the common ways we read music. This is the standard music notation. In the lessons to come, I'm going to be shedding more light on how to read music. So in another way, you can say this is do, this is re, this is mi, this is fa, this is so, this is la, this is ti, this is do. The same thing, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, and do. So that is how we read music. So in the next lesson, I'm going to be teaching you about the piano anatomy and how you are going to be using your 5 fingers to play melodies. God bless you. I remain Adekunle Anifowose. See you in the next class.